You know, at this point, I'm kind of just cheering on the failure of all these old game companies that used to make games we all loved. It's okay, we're getting new games all the time, and I love it. Or even sequels to old games. That's been happening a lot recently. I'm okay with this. If we're getting great sequels to great old games, like Baldur's Gate 3, that was a great sequel. We're getting Onimusha, another sequel to a great franchise. Getting Okami. I love Okami. Well, I guess it's about time to get into the show. I'm a little bit sick, so I might have to mute to cough here and there. I might forget to mute here and there, but it'll be all good. We'll get through it. Hello, it's me. Everything's working. Nothing broke. Well, nothing in talking about the show. Everything broke. I had to change operating systems because all of my software I was using was old. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that Debian runs on old software, or at least Linux Mint Debian Edition does. So I had to switch to regular Linux Mint. Everything's working perfect. I even got the source version of OBS running, the Ubuntu version, at least. And everything's working. It's even got some extra plugins I can use. It's great. If you want to donate to me, I've got super thanks if you're watching this after the live. But if you're watching this live, I have the super chats. If you're on Rumble, I got rants. I don't know what it is on X. I don't think X has anything. I've also got PayPal in the description. I've got a new show coming out in about a month, and it's coming along swimmingly. I love it. Actually, this is probably what I'm going to switch my content more over to. Still going to do this live show. I like doing the live show. I need to find an editor to upload the videos for me and cut them up for me, because I'm tired of doing it. I'm tired of doing literally everything. So there you go. There's a little ad placement. If you thought Siri sounded different in the Witcher 4's trailer, you were on the money. A new actor is stepping into the role for the long-awaited sequel. Who was actually waiting on this? I think most people I know who are waiting on this were waiting for it to fail. And it seems like it's gonna. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it actually is good. And we're just seeing a new character, because you know, try new things, taking risks. I like that. I like taking risks, but not this kind of risk. This is ugly. This is what she's supposed to look like. This is ugly. And I think that wasn't on purpose, like most of the uglification of video games. I think this is just because of the I don't know, bad artist. I don't know. First reported by the gamer, CD Projekt Red has confirmed that Ciri has been recast for The Witcher 4 with original actor Joe Wyatt replaced with newcomer Sierra Berkeley. Okay. I don't know who that is, never heard that name. Sierra Berkeley. Sierra Berkeley, who is you? What's you been in? The Witcher 4. Normal people credits. That's it? So this is a new person. Okay. Been in 2 miniseries and a movie. Never heard of any of them. Swing bout. Don't know. Okay. Hopefully she's good. Don't know anything about her. I thought I clocked something unfamiliar about Ciri's voice in The Witcher 4's reveal trailer, but I figured it could have been the literal passage of 10 years, a deliberate attempt at a more gruff, mature delivery, or a combination of the two. Now we know, and CDPR provided a statement to the gamer on the decision to recast Ciri. Sierra, or Ciara, I'm guessing it's Sierra Berkeley, was cast as Ciri for The Witcher 4 cinematic reveal trailer, a CDPR rep said, though the company later clarified that this casting is for the full game as well. Good. I mean, that. Why would it just be part of it? Why would it only be in the trailer? Sierra is a talented actress who impressed us with her enthusiasm and vocal acting skills, and in this trailer we believe she truly brought Ciri to life in a way that is both faithful to the character and exciting for fans of the series. Well, so far it ain't looking like that. So far everybody's pissed off and freaking out at 2 games in particular, this one and that intergalactic game, which I will be talking about here shortly. Where was I? There are a number of potential factors that might have gone into the decision, including contract negotiations, scheduling, and Berkeley just really nailing her audition for the role. We don't have a lot of material to base our judgments on, but I enjoyed Berkeley's delivery in the reveal trailer. I was sold that this is an older, more hard-bitten Ciri who's been on the path for some time. Looks like she's been eating on the path for some time, too. She got a big old fat face. I was surprised to learn that, at least according to IMDb, this will be Berkeley's first voice acting role, and she's starting in the proverbial deep end as the main character in a god knows how long monster RPG. That was a really weird sentence, whoever wrote this. Like, people don't talk like that. You need to write more like how people speak, because that was a ridiculous sentence. Wyatt, for her part, has had an extensive career as a voice actor, including voicing female Hawk in Dragon Age 2. Yeah, but those days are over. They're trying to get rid of all of the legacy people, and it's working. Because the Dragon Age 2, nobody thinks about that game anymore. Nobody's going to think about Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. Maybe 3 a little bit, but people aren't going to think about the first 2. They're only thinking about the 4th one and how it destroyed everything. This is far from the most shocking high-profile video game recast I've seen. That title still goes to Kiefer Sutherland taking over from David Hayter as Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5. Never played a single Metal Gear Solid game. Probably going to soon, but that sucks. That really does. I heard Metal Gear Solid 5 was kind of like an unfinished mess, and somehow is still one of the greatest games ever made. I want to check that one out. Because that was when they kicked out, what's his name? Hideo Kojima. or he kicked himself out or something. They basically kicked him out. This is far from the most shocking. Oh, I already read that. I've always thought Sutherland turned in a great performance as the unnervingly but arguably fittingly iconic Venom Snake, but David Hayter is Snake, at least for English language audiences, unless we forget the great Charles Martinet has hung up his spurs and passed as Mario and Luigi and Wario and Waluigi Cap to a younger generation. Yeah, I heard about that. That's sad, man. Sad to see, but, you know, has to happen. Except instead of having just one guy playing all those, now we're going to have like 20 guys because they're not going to be able to get somebody as good. And that's how this always goes, man. I don't think Witcher 4 is going to be as good as Witcher 3. I think they're going to change a lot of things, try to make it its new thing, part of a new trilogy that I think it's going to be another cyberpunk situation. Hopefully it is exactly that and not just like dead game that they can't fix. Best case scenario, as it turns out, they have to work on it like they did Cyberpunk and just completely do overhauls on everything. And I'm going to move on to the next article. U.S. lawmakers tell Apple, Google to be ready to remove the blah blah. Let me try that again. U.S. lawmakers tell Apple, Google to be ready to remove TikTok from app stores January 19th. And I, for one, wholeheartedly disagree with doing this. I don't think any app should be banned unless they're actually doing some straight up illegal stuff themselves and or allowing illegal stuff to happen on purpose. Like if it's doing bad stuff to kids, don't let kids on the app. Tell parents like, hey, don't let your kids use these apps. It's pretty simple. Washington, December 13th. Reuters. The chair and top Democrat on a U.S. House of Representatives Committee on China told the CEOs of Google parent Alphabet. Most people don't know that Google is owned by another bigger company called Alphabet. And Apple. On Friday, they must be ready to remove TikTok from their U.S. app stores on January 19th. That's pretty soon, man. Last week, a U.S. federal appeal... I think it's funny that it's just a few days before Trump gets in, and 100% the timing is so... It makes it more difficult for Trump to be like, whoa, hold on. We need to think of the implications of this before we do this. Last week, a U.S. federal appears... It's funny, we're talking about China, I said appears. Last week, a U.S. federal appeals court upheld a law requiring China-based ByteDance to divest TikTok in the United States or face a ban. Representative John Molinar, never heard of that guy, that's a weird name. You got a funny name, sir. A Republican and chair of the committee and the top Democrat on the committee, Representative... Oh... What are these people? What are these names? Yeah, you know what? I changed my mind. Ban it. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy separately urged TikTok CEO Xu Zhiqiu to sell the. What is with these names? These people need to think about what their names are going to be in English before they name their kids these words. Because Xu Zhiqiu sounds like a new age, Zen competitor. Urge TikTok CEO Xu Zhiqiu. See, yeah, bad name. To sell the short video app used by 170 million Americans. Congress has acted decisively to defend the national security of the United States and protect TikTok's American users. Oh, yeah, they're protecting national security? Yeah, what about this whole drone situation that's going on right now? Defend the national security of the United States and protect TikTok's American users from the Chinese Communist Party. We urge TikTok to immediately execute a qualified divestiture. Divestiture. Man, these people need to learn to speak like humans. Divestiture. Apple, Alphabet, and TikTok did not immediately comment. On Monday, ByteDance and TikTok made an emergency bid to temporarily block the law pending a review by the U.S. Supreme Court. Temporarily. Apple, Alphabet, and TikTok did not immediately comment. Of course they didn't. Because they don't want it to go either. That's a lot of money that they're about to miss out on. DOJ said on Wednesday if the ban takes effect on January 19th, it would not directly prohibit the continued use of TikTok. Yeah, people who have it downloaded on their phones are still going to be able to use it. What's going to happen is it's just going to not receive any updates and it's just going to fall apart. And that's going to be really sad for a lot of people that are addicted to it. They're going to be freaking out, probably moving to other websites. More people going to be on X, I think. X about to get a lot crazier, about to get a lot more crazy people. Where was I? The DOJ said on Wednesday if the ban takes effect, it would not directly prohibit, by Apple or Google users who have already downloaded TikTok, but it conceded the prohibitions on providing support will eventually be to render the application unworkable. Yeah, exactly. So it's just going to fall apart. TikTok said in response on Thursday, the law, absent a court order, means TikTok will disappear from mobile app stores on January 19th and be unavailable to the half of the country that does not already use the app. So if you don't got it downloaded, it's gone. I might download it just so I'll have it and see what's going on over there while everything's falling apart. TikTok said in response on Thursday, the law, absent a court order, means TikTok will disappear from mobile app stores, be unavailable to half the country that does not already use the app. It warned ending support services will cripple the platform in the United States and make it totally unusable. Yeah, people will still be able to download it too, like if they really wanted to use it, because it's just going to be in the United States. Probably find an APK file. ByteDance and TikTok noted, President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to prevent a ban on TikTok. How's he going to prevent the ban if he's not president yet? He's just going to be president-elect. But it seems so far that he's being more presidential than the actual president. Republican Senator Josh Hawley said in an interview he hopes ByteDance will sell TikTok because the law leaves no wiggle room. I think that that's not likely that they're going to sell it. I think they would lose more power from China doing that, and that's the point. That's why we're wanting them to do it. But man, they make so much more money by just not being in the United States because they're in every other country. But who knows? Maybe it'll be like the first domino, and dominoes will just start falling one by one, and everybody be banning TikTok. The main issue is it's subject to Chinese oversight, Beijing oversight. That's the problem. Yeah, and that's exactly why they're banning it. But I don't think that that's a good enough reason. I think there should be measures in place where something like this can't have the ability to take over, as in like our own version of TikTok and push that, and TikTok here isn't the same TikTok they have. So why don't we do the same thing? I don't get it. And don't let your kids on TikTok. Anyway, next article. Riot Games confirms policy change regarding betting sponsorships. More and more betting sponsorships are coming to the internet. They're everywhere. The internet is about to be worse than a pirating website. I've already been seeing what is it? The stake ads all over. They're currently being cleaned up from X. I don't know about the other apps. I'm not really on any of the other apps where people can just post stuff like Threads and Blue Sky. I got banned from Blue Sky. I didn't really get banned. I got silenced. Last week I covered a rumor suggesting that Riot who covered this? Grant Taylor Hill. Last week I covered a rumor suggesting that Riot Games was preparing to make a major policy change. It was said that the gaming titan was about to allow Valorant and League esports teams to accept betting companies as sponsors for the first time. Okay, League of Legends? What is League of Legends rated? Is that an M-rated game? If it's not, if we're allowing this betting stuff, then it has to be classified as an M-rated game. Valorant, I'm not sure about. I think that is an M-rated game. If not, then it should be. Riot Games has confirmed to Insider Gaming that this is the case. In 2025, partnered League of Legends esports teams and Valorant Champions Tour teams in the Americas and EMEA will be allowed to explore such partnerships. For the longest time, Riot Games has been against gambling sponsorship, the sponsors in the esports scene it upholds. It has also been against cryptocurrency-based sponsors. Well, yeah, because that leaves it open for scams, and like, gambling is bad, man. In video games, a lot of kids are involved. You're going to be getting them into gambling. This is a real bad thing. I disagree with this move, but I also don't like Riot Games, and I don't think I play any Tencent games. Tencent owns like 10% of everything. And more, some more. They own like 10% of Ubisoft, and they're probably going to end up buying Ubisoft. Following a statement that was issued by Riot Games Esports COO, it has been made clear that things are about to change. A few weeks ago, we told partnered League of Legends Esports and VCT teams, that Valorant, in Americas and EMEA, that starting in 2025, they'll be allowed to explore partnerships with Riot-approved betting platforms. This decision wasn't made lightly. It's the result of careful study and planning to settle on a move that will unlock new revenue opportunities for teams while also protecting competitive integrity and the overall fan experience. So we're just gonna have a whole bunch of sports betting ads. Here are two important things to know. Riot-owned channels will stay betting free. No betting brands will appear on our broadcast socials or jerseys. Riot will vet all potential betting partners to meet our standards for integrity, transparency, and fan engagement. Yeah, we're going to investigate them ourselves. All sports books partnering with teams will need to meet local regulatory and licensing requirements and match Riot requirements around content and promotion for this category. This is a new sponsorship category for our esports, and we'll approach it thoughtfully. We'll learn a lot along the way, and we'll make changes if at any point this compromises the integrity of the sport or impacts the high quality experience our fans have today. I doubt they care about the experience of the fans if they're raking in the cash. If they're raking in boatloads of money, they're the only ones providing the service, they're not going to care. And if less people watch, nobody's watching anywhere else, so they're just going to be like, well, it's a dying medium. More ads. Naturally, this announcement garnered blowback from the fans of the competitive scenes who are vehemently why do they always got to like talk so fancy in these articles? Nobody says these words. Against gambling. It's no big secret that esports betting makes up around 50% of the industry's global revenue, but that doesn't mean everyone agrees with the notion of it. What do you think about this policy change? Let us know on the Insider Gaming Forum. I'm probably not going to do that. Esports betting makes up about 50% of the industry's global revenue. I think those are rookie numbers. I think you're going to have to bump those numbers up. That's nothing. It's probably going to end up being like 85%, 90% soon. Because it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. I think we need to get gambling out of our regular video games and stuff. Completely. I think they just need to be separated. If you're going to have gambling and stuff, you need to go to a casino. You need to have your games in a casino. If not, you need to get gambling out of everywhere else. I understand that we got freedom. This is America. You can still make it legal for us to use it. Make it illegal for companies to be pushing it and being disgusting about it. Because I don't know why corporations and companies are seen as people and they should not be. They should be entities that control people, and they should be regulated like that instead of regulated as a person or groups of people. All right, now I'm gonna get to the first video reaction. Ugly female leads in video games. See, this pertained to the first article that I looked at earlier with Witcher 4. Now let's see what Asmongold's got to say about that. Also, that intergalactic game, which we're about to talk about after this.
Hi guys, it's me again, and today we're going to be talking about some drama. We're going to be discussing the new games that got announced at the Game Awards, and I watched the show. I thought it was great. I had a good time, but a lot of people didn't. And guess what? It's for the two main games that got announced there. The Witcher 4 and also Intergalactic. Now, both of these games, I think, had a lot of discourse surrounding them, and we're going to talk about that discourse. And we're also going to talk about what that discourse implies with people that have become increasingly...
Honestly, those Intergalactic and Witcher 4, I don't even care about. I'm not going to buy either one of those games. I'll probably watch Intergalactic be played by somebody, like I did with The Last of Us Part 2, because I actually bought The Last of Us when it originally came out on PS3. I pre-ordered it and bought it and loved it. And I heard about Last of Us 2 being full of woke garbage, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to skip this one. I'll just watch it. Glad I didn't pay money for that. Now I'm going to know extensively if I'm going to like a game before I buy it. Because I just don't trust these companies anymore.
Against and at war with reality. And this, every single time that reality hits them in the face, there are a lot of Twitter threads about it because people are not happy. And guess what? If you spend all day on the internet, you usually have a distorted view of what the world looks like. And even to a certain extent, I'm sure so do I, but it seems like these people are even worse than I am. So anyway, let's go ahead and at the beginning, I want to talk about one thing before we get into either of the games, actually. Let's talk about subjective opinions. So anybody cannot like or like a video game for whatever reason that they want. They don't have to justify this. They don't have to explain it.
Yeah, like people always giving me shit whenever I'm talking about how all these games, 'cause I dislike about probably 90% of the games that get advertised to me. And I just get shit on left and right. Like, my takes are bad, or like, they're a fan of the game and they completely wholehearted disagree with me and they start throwing insults. If you end up liking games that I dislike, or I end up being wrong about a game being bad, like, that's okay, man. It's okay. I'm probably not going to listen, and I'm probably not going to buy it anyway, so there's no point in getting upset about it.
They don't have to debate it or argue it with anybody else. So if you do or you don't like any video game, you should never feel like you're obligated to defend that opinion or not, because it is your own subjective opinion and you have every right to it and nobody can take that away from you. So I just want to make that very clear, because there have been so many people talking about how, oh, well, this person shouldn't be having this opinion. You shouldn't be saying this. You shouldn't care about this. Well, guess what? Some people do. Too fucking bad. Anyway, let's talk about The Witcher 4. Now, The Witcher 4, well, The Witcher 3, one of the best-selling games in the last 10 years, had a male protagonist. The new game has a...
I bought Witcher 3 for like $4, I think, with all the DLC and everything. I played it for probably 3 hours. So I still haven't played that thing. That's probably what'll happen to Witcher 4. I have Witcher 1, I beat that. Witcher 2, I played about half of it. If I get Witcher 4, it'll be in about 5 years, and it'll be on sale for like $4. Because that's how I like my games. On sale for $4.
the female protagonist. If you understand the story, which at least I kind of do, I understand at least enough of it to see why the new female protagonist is the one carrying on the story. Now, this, however, has caught a lot of people off guard, and it's frustrated a lot of people because I think that there has been a growing trend that people are observing of genres and different IPs that have had a male lead that's being replaced by a female lead. And I think also, this is, again, it goes into my first point about people being at war with reality. Because I've got to tell you guys, gender is a massive barrier with relatability. It just is. And that doesn't mean that that's the case with everybody. I'm sure there's going to be people that, can't understand abstract ideas, so they have to comment and say, that's not what I think. Well, that's nice. But I think that in a general sense it is. I think gender is a massive barrier to relatability. So if you take a character that people relate to and they can see themselves in, and you change its gender, you do fuck with a lot of people's vision of the game and of the story. I think that's just how it is. And you can disagree with that, but that doesn't mean that it's going to go away. I think it's still...
To a lot of people, it's turned from like a badass story with emotional points to an emotional story with badass points. At least that's what it looks like to me, and that's what it seems like to other people who I've seen videos talking about this.
It is very, very, very much the truth. And so a lot of people are unhappy about this. And they also thought that Ciri is uglier, because if you compare her model in-game for The Witcher 3, and then you look at The Witcher 4, she does look a bit older, and it's a CGI trailer, so there's a lot more detail put into it. It looks more realistic. Now, my personal opinion, I have actually personally dated a Polish girl with a big nose.
Here's my personal opinion on that. If it looks kind of bad, it doesn't bother me. But you need consistency if you're going to be posting a trailer like that. If you got instant consistency in the game itself, that's fine. Games have jank. But this is a CG trailer. And where every trailer is CG and also has problems, it's so easy to see these problems. Why did you let it go through?
So I think that she's fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else does. If you think she's ugly, you don't want to play the game because of that, that's fine. That's whatever. I personally don't think so, and I think that CD Projekt Red has earned a degree of my trust with how well they've handled Cyberpunk and also The Witcher 3, that I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm
not going to give them the benefit of the doubt because Cyberpunk took a very long time to get to the point that it was, and they've made a lot of changes in their company since Cyberpunk was even finished. They made a lot of changes in their company. A lot of changes that I don't like only hiring women. That was a thing. Don't like that.
Going to really, really hope that the game is in fact actually good. So we'll have to wait until we see her in-game model and we see a little bit more of the story before I go ahead and start complaining and crying about this all too much. So there's that. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the growing issue with a lot of games that are adding characters that are unattractive, unappealing, and unlikable. And oftentimes it's all three, unfortunately, but many times it's in fact just one. And so what's happened is that I think that a lot of studios have fallen prey to this idea that players and people want to have realistic characters. I don't actually think that this is true. I think that this is a media narrative that's created by journalists and it's created by people that write about video games, talk about them. But the truth is that I think most people, they actually do care about what a character looks like to an extent, and the people that don't care are irrelevant anyway, because let's go ahead and use a little bit of logic. So why would you ever put a ugly character in a video game? Well, I think that this serves no one. I don't think it serves anybody, because for all the people that don't care whether the character looks good or not, well then those people are going to play or not play the game.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's not even that it's an ugly character, right? It's that it's an ugly character and they're saying, it's not ugly. What's wrong with you? It's not ugly. What are you talking about? It's realistic. That's when people are like, all right, because you can have ugly characters. Let me tell you. You ever played like what's it called? Abe's Odyssey? You ever played that? That's an ugly ass character. People do not mind playing ugly characters, but don't make it an ugly character and say that it's pretty.
Game anyway, and the reasoning for that is going to be completely independent of the character's appearance. And for the people that are going to play a game or do care about a character's appearance, and they use that as a criteria of whether they like the character or not. And by the way, a lot of people say that people don't do this. If people didn't do this, microtransaction cosmetics would not be making billions of dollars, okay? Like, this is just such a completely stupid, delusional thing to say. They would not be able to sell all these cosmetics if people did not care about how they looked in video games. So,
True.
that being said, and there's a million other examples I can use, like gacha games, etc. But I think that let's just look at cosmetics as a meta thing, and then that immediately proves that people do care. Maybe you don't, but again, abstract sample, there are many people who do. And for the people who do care, I do think that having a character that is unappealing, unlikable, or just in general not something that people want to see, that's just or unrelatable. I think that's another really component. Not necessarily what people don't want to see, but just in one way or another unrelatable. I think this serves literally zero purpose. And in fact, all it does is it serves to hurt the game. So let me explain why. Again, so you have all the people who are, they don't care about the way the character looks. They don't give a shit about it. They're going to play the game based off of the gameplay. Well, they've already made their decision, and the way the character looks, stated by them, is that they don't care. So then you only have the remaining people who do care about how a character looks. Now, do you think that more people care if a character is attractive or unattractive? Do you think that more people want a character inside of the group of people who care about the way a character looks? Are there more people inside of that group that want the character to be attractive or unattractive? Well, I'm just going to take the wild guess and think that they probably should think that the character should be hot. That's it. And this is also true for guys as well. I don't really think that anybody wants to play, well, maybe some people do. Many people probably don't want to play a version of a fat neckbeard brony wearing a fedora with a My Little Pony t-shirt with cargo pants and socks and sandals on.
Unless that is what the game is supposed to be. If that is what the game is supposed to be, then that is completely fine. What is that game? It's like My Name is Chris or something like that. That game, it's like a fat guy with his belly hanging out. But you know that's what the game is.
And this guy is going to be the one who saves the world from God, right? He's going to have to destroy God. Many people probably would not really relate with that character, and they'd rather have somebody like Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
I don't know. That sounds like a funny game. That sounds like I would play that game if there was a fat neckbeard with a fedora trying to, I don't know, fight God.
And so this is true cross-gender, but it's also another big issue, what I was saying before, about people that are living in opposition to reality. A lot of people are in the mindset that these things are not relevant. These things do not matter. And again, they don't matter to a lot of people, but they matter to enough people for this to make a difference. And I also hear the narrative that these are things that are only held by a small minority of people. Only a small minority of people actually think this. And I have a challenge to everybody who thinks that. If you think that all of the people that dislike whatever game it is, whether I think the Intergalactic game is probably the one that's most worst received, I want you to find me a reveal trailer of a video.
It's so sad, man. Intergalactic looked so good other than the character. The character just like ruins the whole thing.
Game that has a less than 50% like ratio that turned out to be a success for a studio. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's find out. And you know what? I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of them. I've looked for them. I've tried to find them, and I didn't see a single one. And so what I think is happening is that you have people that want to believe something so bad that it's caused them to distort reality into imagining that it's actually real. And so what's happened is that a lot of these people are so fixated around making sure that the game reinforces some worldview that they have, that they are unwilling to look at the rational implications of what is actually something that players want to see. And this goes into the idea of genres. Now, I'm sorry, guys, but I guess I have to be the bearer of bad news. But if you're making a video game and it's set in space, you're a bounty hunter, you've got guns, and you fight things with laser swords, the majority audience of that game is going to be a bunch of fucking guys. And that's it.
It sounds like Star Wars to me. It sounds like they're trying to fill in the gaps that... It's funny that Star Wars Outlaws just came out, and now this game's coming out, and it was just announced, and people are just like, this is literally the same thing as Star Wars Outlaws. Like, it feels like Star Wars looks like Star Wars, and the character is like an ugly woman.
So if you make a game like that, and you don't appeal to that target audience, you are going to have a very hard time selling that game. And it doesn't matter whether you think this should be true or not, or whether you know somebody who isn't part of that group, who is a girl or whatever, who likes these games, or a guy who doesn't like them. That's totally fine, but I think that the averages speak for themselves. You can look at games like Concord, Dragon Age Veilguard, or any of the other games that have come out recently that have tried to take a non-traditional approach in telling a story that is meant for a majority male audience. And I think that guess what happens? When that happens, well, a lot of people get frustrated, disappointed, and they think to themselves, you know what? I don't think this game's meant for me. I'm not going to play it. And that's what happens. And so I feel like, how many points on a graph do you need to be able to draw a line? I think that it's very obvious that these things clearly do matter a lot to players, and this is not enough of a small minority for it not to be taken seriously.
Cyberpunk was meant for me. I bought Cyberpunk. I got burned. And, let's see, the Master Chief Collection, that was meant for me. I bought that, got burned. Baldur's Gate 3, that was meant for me. Bought that, I did not get burned. That was a great game, amazing game. A lot of games come out, they are meant for me. Intergalactic, seems like it would have been meant for me if it had a better character. Better characters in general. Both the characters that it showed. Wasn't really into them.
And also, I think that the implication is that a minority of people actually care about these things, whereas I think the actual reality is that a majority of people do. It's just that the amount of people that dislike it on social media might be a little bit higher, but it is more or less a respective sample size. Because I've never really seen a case, as I said before, where a game was massively hated on, like the reveal trailer, and then it turned out to be a massive success. I just don't really think this happens. First impressions are really important, and it matters a lot if you make them or not.
Silent Hill 2 is actually a good example, because I thought it was going to be bad. A lot of people thought it was going to be bad. Ended up being great. So that's a good example.
And so a lot of developers are trying to design games and make games for everybody. They're trying to make the game for the target audience of anybody can play this game. It's going to appeal to everyone. Well, unless you're playing Tetris or you're playing some other sort of abstract game like that, this is just simply not the case. There are going to be games that are more appealing to men versus games that are more appealing to women. The same as there's music that way, the same as there's, movies that way, manga that way. I mean, manga, they do it right. They literally have names for it. Shonen is literally made for young guys. So that's basically the way that they handle it, and I think that they're doing a lot better than comic books now, last time I checked. So the big issue is that people are trying to design and create a narrative that is based off of a worldview that doesn't actually exist. And what's happening is that you see games like Intergalactic, and you see games like Concord or Dragon Age or whatever, where they are designed with this perspective that, well, anybody can relate to anybody, and of course this can be true to an extent, but it's not true on a law of averages. And I think that that's what's really happened, is that you have people that have convinced themselves and gaslighted themselves into thinking that the only way that you can make this game and make it successful is if you make it appeal to everybody, but in the case of appealing to everyone, you actually, in fact, appeal to no one at all, just like Concord did. Just a second, take a drink. So, what I think is going to happen is that these games are going to come out, the reception around them is going to become more negative, and the games will not sell well. And I think this has been proven time and time again. And ultimately, for all the people that like good gameplay, they're not going to care about this. That's totally fine. But I think that there are enough people out there that also, there's another component to this as well, is that
There's enough people out there, you can make these games $1 and they still won't buy them. There were people gifting each other Suicide Squad as a joke. And people were getting mad because they didn't want it in their library.
when people view or they perceive some degree of like messaging or they perceive some degree of like social politics in a video game, it immediately takes them out of the immersive experience the game is trying to create, and it makes them think about the game in the context of real life contemporary social politics. And I think this destroys the escapism, and it makes people more skeptical and less positive about these video games in a general way. And I think also this happens with movies and TV shows as well, but in a lot of cases it just happens with video games the most because that's what I talk about the most. But anyway, with a lot of these characters, anytime that I see a character that's added into a video game and the character is not attractive or the character is meant to be unappealing to a majority of people, or it's not, it's like doing one of those things where it's like, oh, well,
It's supposed to be realistic and relatable and diverse and inclusive.
all the people that don't like this are bigots or racists or something like that. You can call people that all you want, but that's never going to convince them to buy your game. And I think that the people that do that, anytime I see that...
Not only is it going to not convince them to buy your game, it's going to make them even more adamant to not buy your game and other games like it, even if it's just got a little bit. Eventually, people are just going to not even buy a game just because of the body type A, body type B crap that they have in games.
In a trailer, I automatically assume the game is going to be complete trash. And you think to yourself, what do you mean? Like, that just means the character's ugly. Like, who cares? What about the gameplay? Let me think about it like this. If making an ugly character, as we've already established, actually is at best a negative or a net zero effect, and in almost all cases a negative effect, why would anybody do that? And I think that the mindset of putting things into a game that players actively don't like, that is more important than the actual enjoyment of the customer, I think that that mindset is going to permeate the entire game. I don't think that it's just going to begin and end at character selector or at character creation. I think it's going to be the entire game is going to have problems because it is fundamentally at face value, literally at face value, not designed for an audience. And I feel like I've been right a lot. I do. I really feel like, so I see people getting mad about this, especially getting mad at me. I'm just saying, boys, let's wait and see. Let's see what happens. I wonder if the thing that's happened every single time is going to happen again. Oh, wow. What a, I don't even know what to say. It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. The suspense is killing me. I wonder if the game that everybody seems to hate is going to come out and be hated. And so people have been increasingly walling themselves off inside of their own echo chambers and trying to create their own reality. And I think this is the reason why people want censorship on social media a lot. The reason why is because these realities that they create are very, very fragile. And so the moment that one of these realities actually, butts up against an actual real world, a real experience, well, then these people are going to be writing posts and talking and complaining about it and saying, oh, we'll do better next time. The reality is that a lot of people don't think that way. And I think that you've had the internet that's allowed so many people to effectively remove themselves from reality and construct their own in place of it. And I think that video game discourse is a very good microcosm of that. But you're seeing this with politics. You're seeing this with, geopolitics. You're seeing it with social issues. You're seeing it with everything. And people have become increasingly more disconnected from reality because the internet has allowed them to do that. And it actually does a really good job at that.
I think people are coming back to reality. I think they're grouping up and getting into the actual groups that are meaningful. A lot of them on places like Discord and X, and getting in spaces and actually talking to people again like we used to back in the Xbox Live days when people actually were meeting people online and having friends that they'd never met before in their lives, but they're in another part of the state. I talk to so many people daily. Like and it's good, man. People telling me to work out, and I work out. People telling me to keep working out. People telling me to keep working, keep streaming. People giving me advice, you know. But I have a closer relationship with these people because they're not just randos online.
And so, what I think is going to keep happening is that these people will continue butting up against reality and becoming very, very frustrated and upset. And I think it's very funny because I also believe they will never learn. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. I think Witcher 4, we're going to have to wait and see. I think with Intergalactic, the game, as I said, you know, the graphics for the game look incredible, but I don't really think the game's going to do very well.
The theme looks incredible too. I'm really into that theme and that 80s like retro wave vibe. I like that a lot. It's like my favorite aesthetic. But that character, those characters, I feel like they took a younger character for the redheaded character and made her older. That's what she didn't look like an old character. She looked like she was forced to be old. And I feel like they forced this main character for Intergalactic to look the way she does too. I don't think that the character who she's supposed to be portraying doesn't actually look like her. I'm betting that's true. I haven't seen it, but show me the side by side. I guarantee that they modeled her off of the voice actor and then changed it to be uglier. 100%.
You make a space bounty hunter video game and you have like a bald girl who isn't conventionally attractive. I don't think you're really going to get that male audience that those games are really intended for. I don't think you're going to get them. And so we're going to have to wait and see, but that's my prediction. And I think also, you know, you can get mad at the people that are saying and being rude about it or whatever, but my best advice is to just wait and see. And I feel like, again, the thing that's happened every single time will probably happen again. So anyway, guys, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are in the comments, and I figured I'd make this video since I've got the day off and I want to talk about this, and that's pretty much how I feel about it. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Well, what do you think about that? I'll tell you what I think about it. I'm going to wait and see. Either way, I'm going to make a video on it. If it's bad, great. I'll make a video shitting all over it. It's good, great. I'll tell everybody I'm wrong, and I'm still probably not going to play it until it's on sale for $4. But if it's good, then I will buy it for $4 on sale. If it's bad, then I'm not going to do that, unless it's like the good kind of bad, you know what I mean? I'm going to take a break for about 5 minutes. I will return very shortly. I have a few more videos. Oh, I have returned. And I have a few announcements as usual. I've got super chats. I've got super thanks down there. Down here somewhere. You can do that if you want to donate to me. I've also got a PayPal down in the description. And I've got a show coming out in about a month. If you'd like to donate to that. Because more money to that means better quality. And that'd be awesome to increase quality for you. And it's about movies and shows and anime and cartoons that I used to watch, and I'm reviewing them, going back to see if they're any good. I'm working on, let's see, 28 Days Later is one, Eight-Legged Freaks. I've got Eight-Legged Freaks in the works. I've pretty much finished Hackers is one that I'm working on. Pretty much got that one done. That's going to be one of the first episodes. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Not watching this Asmongold. No, get out of here, Asmongold. Woke zealots rage over Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet trailer backlash. Naughty Dog exposed from Yellow Flash 2. Give them a like.
I think the way that this trailer starts with this character shaving her head is really, really what gets me every time. What a character introduction, especially in this time period right now with everything that's been going on with video games. But apparently, according to some leaks, and I don't know if these are true, so you'll have to take it with a grain of salt until it's confirmed. But apparently the reason that she shaves her head is because she's trying to hide her identity, which seems kind of weird. I mean, just because you shave your head, that's not, especially I would imagine in a world with facial recognition technology, not going to help you very much. Kind of comes across as a cope. I'm going to go over those in a second.
That's 100% a cope. That seems like they just made her bald and then found a reason for her to be bald.
But what I want to talk about real quick is what's going on with this game and a tweet that Asmongold made, which I guess went nuclear. I've actually put this in one of my videos before, but I had no idea that this was such a controversial take. So Asmongold says this on X. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like the market for masculine, non-conventionally attractive female leads in games isn't as big as the video game industry thinks it is. Actually, quite the calm take. Not you would think controversial, right? And he's right. He's not wrong here. Yeah, the market's not as big as they think it is for that. Actually, almost non-existent.
They almost got me. It literally, the characters was taking me out of it. Especially since I've seen other people make better looking characters. And it's so easy to make a character look good. I just don't understand. I feel like these people are incompetent, and that's what makes me not want to buy their games, because they're incompetent. They make incompetent stories, and they do things to piss you off on purpose. So they can own the chuds.
We have seen time and time again this year. Quite a bit. But this has not gone over very well. At all the things you get mad about, apparently this is pissing off some people. And it's, of course, going to be moved to a sexual thing. This is from a content creator, him. By the way, let's make sure we get it right. These guys are just proving the point that they can't see women as anything other than sex objects. Never heard them complain that they don't find male protags affable. But if it's a female protag, she has to be anime sexy. Genuinely incel behavior. Never touched a real woman.
These incels keep taking it to a sexual place. Is what they keep saying, even though this is literally They brought it to a sexual place. Genuinely incel behavior. Never touched a real woman. You're the one bringing it to a sexual place. We are bringing it to this character doesn't look good. Like, it's not fun to look at. This game is supposed to be fun. When I look at this character, it makes me sad.
Right, yeah. Asmongold has never touched a woman. I've seen him with some women some of them are pretty attractive. But yeah, he's never. Yeah, millionaire Asmongold has never touched a woman. Sure. Why is it, this always comes off as kind of projection to me. It's always something sexual. Like, oh, you can't fap to her. Oh, you're an incel. It's always some kind of sexual response. Nobody's saying that they want it. Well, I'm sure.
That's because that's all identity politics is. It's just all based around sexuality and sexual identity. That's literally the whole point. That's all they have their mind on is just sexual nonsense.
Sure, some people are, right? But for the most part, I think what's going on here is you have a lot of people that can see, because if you think about it, like, it's been an activist win the past couple of years. They've kind of really brought the Western market to its knees. But
and I love how they really got to let you know that they're done, just so they can like feel like that they've won, that they have victory, that they're turning off their phone and getting off the internet. But really, that they would have been on the internet, scrolling the internet like normal if they didn't post some dumb shit and get ratioed. Instantly muting and never checking this again because I know Twitter and I know the blue bootlicker army is coming. Just logged on, saw more dumb shit occurring, threw some shade, and now I'm gonna go back to living in peace off the internet. He's hurting. He's hurting bad.
What's really going on here is just people are kind of tired of seeing characters like this. And the game can be good, even, but you turn off so many people with this now that it's kind of, it comes across as an intentional design choice. And I wouldn't be surprised if when they were designing this character that they were saying, yeah, this is going to own those chuds.
That's
Get them with this one. Because everybody has
literally what I said, and that's probably what's happening.
our mindset. And that's just not the way it's going.
We don't want the chuds to be playing our games. We only want our fan base to be playing our games. When they don't realize that their fan base doesn't play their games because they don't play games other than like Candy Crush.
Going anymore. But like I said in a previous video, a lot of these design choices started in 2020. Like it takes years to make this game. So 2020, this game's getting kicked around. I mean, that was pretty much the hottest design then, even though nobody wanted it then either. And there's been plenty of bald female characters. People make that point. Yeah, Ripley from Alien. She's shaved her head before. Nobody cared. But also,
that's also a movie. Movies are different than games. If this was a movie with a character that looked like that, I don't think people would be near as freaked out because that would actually be based on reality. They would have to, it would be realistic because it's a real person. But in a video game where everything is computer graphics and then you have an ugly character, there's no excuse other than you did it on purpose to own the chuds. And guess what? Now the chuds aren't going to buy your game. And also, guess what? You're throwing the entire average fan base for video games into that category with the chuds and calling them chuds. It's so dumb.
So, she's likable. The character in this game comes off as completely unlikable. And that's also a big thing as well that should be brought in. Like, she just comes off as a smug biatch. Here's another one. Maybe it's just me, but I don't judge a video game based on how easy I can fap to its protagonist. Once again, trying to paint Asmongold as some kind of incel. Here's another one. Do most guys usually play games on whether or not they'd fap to it? I've personally never done this. Projection. You probably have. You know where this really starts with Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog in general was here. And I remember talking about this during the entire.
I was thinking the exact same thing the whole time I was watching this trailer, that it looked like the chick. It felt like it was just another version of the chick from Last of Us Part 2. At least this time it was a new IP. But no. I ain't having it. I ain't gonna play it. I ain't buying your game. If you want to buy it out there watching this, if you're watching this, go ahead, buy it. Love it. I hope you have a fantastic time. But I'm not gonna. I'm buying good. I'm buying 10 out of 10. If I think it's a 10 out of 10, I'm buying it. Indie games, different story. If it's like AAA or quadruple A, it's got to be 10 out of 10 for me, or I ain't buying it.
Last of Us 2 fiasco. By the way, never forget that Naughty Dog was using the YouTube copyright system to silence YouTubers, notably Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kennel, Heel versus Babyface, and plenty of more that I'm probably forgetting. They struck a lot of people. And games industry had nothing to say about it. They were totally silent on that and have still never covered it to this day. Naughty Dog, especially Neil Druckmann, just a horrible person, and he was trying to take a lot of people down to protect that game. And of course it blew up and got like massive. Those leaks were all over the place. Notably probably because he went to such lengths to try to contain it. That always backfires. But Neil Druckmann met Anita Sarkeesian publicly at the DICE Summit in Las Vegas in 2012, where they discussed the portrayal of women in video games. He became a fan, and this is how he creates his games now. And that's 100% on point right there from Learning the Law. He's right, 100% right about that. This is a very good point that I forgot about till I saw this post. And yes, that absolutely happened. Neil became a big fan of Anita after that meeting, and we got Abby, weird choices all around in that Last of Us Part 2 game. And now we get this new character. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And then there's this. So take this with a grain of salt, okay? Because this could get debunked. This is a rumor. But apparently
this is going to be juicy.
Plot for Naughty Dog's Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet allegedly has leaked. So there was...
Yeah, because we know nothing about this. Literally, that trailer was the only thing that anybody knows. And everybody's freaking out because the only thing they've showed was an ugly trailer.
The post over on 4chan, John F. Trent over at the Fandom Pulse picked this up. And this is basically what they're saying. So this comes from a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. And here are the leaks. And like I said, this could be fake. The player character Jordan was a member of the Five Aces, a band of notorious criminals. The reason for Jordan's shaved head is the absurd reaction to which Naughty Dog fully expected is to serve the hiding of her identity as she is a wanted criminal, which, by the way, stupid, because that really didn't stop anything. Jordan...
If anything, you'd want to hide your face more, change your hair, not have none. Because what if you get found out again? Then you're gonna, I guess, you get wigs? Can we change her hair and put wigs on her? Because maybe that might change it. She's still got a weird looking face.
Works as a bounty hunter purely as a means to find her former partners, particularly Lewis, who she sees as a father figure. She was a member of the Five Aces, which is a notorious band of criminals. The leader, Lewis, disappeared without a trace, causing the five to drift apart. Jordan works as a bounty hunter purely as a means to find her former partners, particularly Lewis, who she sees as the father figure, like I said. important note from the leak is that there is no space combat, which seemed kind of odd given its way it's set up, but I guess you're stuck on a planet on a moon. The bulk of the game is described as an open-world Uncharted mix with sci-fi elements. As they fly into that planet's atmosphere, an EMP wave disables the ships, leading them to crash in different locations, which is somebody that she picks up in the tutorial. The majority of enemy combatants are AI-driven machines, but with a wide variety of types, melee, ranged, and even vehicle combat are in the game.
If this is true, if this is what this game is going to be like, and like this is the main focus, it doesn't sound interesting. Maybe it's more focused on gameplay. Hopefully that's the thing, because this narrative does not sound interesting to me. Hopefully it's more of a Jack and Daxter kind of game, where the narrative just drives the gameplay.
The bulk of the game is described as an open-world Uncharted mixed with sci-fi elements. The base of operations.
So it's gonna be Star Wars Outlaws. Maybe it's probably gonna be better than Star Wars Outlaws, but that's what it's saying to me. And I just wasn't into that vibe. And it's got similar vibes.
Operations in the game is your crashed ship, which can be customized. As you find each member of your old crew, they will join you on the ship. So, like I said, keep this as this is a grain of salt warning. I don't know if any of that's true. It may or may not be true.
I'm going to take it with a grain of salt.
One thing that is true, Neil Druckmann is a big fan of Anita Sarkeesian, and she is responsible for his current mindset and the direction that Naughty Dog has been taken in, thanks to Neil's love for her way of thinking and her bullshit theories. So that's the update. A couple of things. I'm just kind of blown away that such a lukewarm take from Asmongold got this viral. 5.4 million views. And it has, well, let me take that back. Him going viral isn't a surprise. People making it go viral with things saying he's an incel and everyone just wants to fap to the character. I guess looking at it shouldn't surprise me, actually. But regardless, some of the insanity that we have to look forward to thanks to this game. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all of this. I'd like to hear from you also. If you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I hate AAA games. I'm not playing any of them. I'm not buying any of them. Too bad. I don't care. If I think that your character is ugly, they're ugly to me. I don't care if you don't care or if you think that it's pretty. It doesn't matter to me. It's my money. I will spend it how I please. And if I don't want to play a game, I will not play it for any reason, even stupid reasons, even wrong reasons. I'm sure there are games that I refuse to play for the wrong reasons and stupid reasons, and still not going to play them. Oh, yeah, like every Assassin's Creed after Brotherhood. They're all terrible to me. I'm not playing any of them. Even the good ones. Bad. I want Assassin's Creed to be like the first 3 Assassin's Creed games. 1, 2, and Brotherhood. Anything that's not those, garbage. Get it out of here. Done with AAA games. Every once in a while there'll be one fringe that slips through the cracks. I'll play one of those.
Hey everyone, it's Indeed.
Oh, Endymion. Games Workshop sells rights to Warhammer 40k to woke Amazon, plus Henry Cavill future in danger. This is not good. I thought Warhammer was looking good and they were king of the hill. Apparently, they're going downhill. It's not a good thing to see. But Saber Interactive is a different thing from Games Workshop. Games Workshop just owns the IP. So maybe the video games are still going to be in a good place. At least a couple of them. Most of them, I think, have flopped and failed throughout the years. Anyway, let's get to this.
Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and there's been some major updates surrounding Warhammer 40k and specifically the live action series. Yet there's some very alarming parts of this entire story that I barely see anyone even talking about. Beyond this, I want to also look into how Amazon's other IPs are painting a picture of what we can expect here and why I don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows. And then finish with a grave blow to the games industry as Gamergate 2 ravages the entirety of everything. It's crazy, and we'll get there. Firstly, it's official. Amazon and Games Workshop have reached an agreement finally when it comes to their Warhammer 40k live-action universe. They had a whole year to get this down, and they took their sweet time with this because it came down to the very wire here before they could agree on anything. Had the year gone by with no results, the deal would have broken off completely is what I've been reading. So at least they got it done. However, there's a really worrying aspect here that not enough people are realizing. Let me show you. This is from cityam.com and it's titled Games Workshop, Amazon buys rights to Warhammer 40k. Yes, you read that right. Amazon bought the rights to Warhammer. No, your eyes are not deceiving you.
So they're gonna go ahead. They're gonna change everything. They're gonna change it how they want it to be. They're gonna change all the lore. They're gonna retcon everything. And they're gonna put women in it. They're gonna put a chick in it, make it gay. That's what's gonna happen.
As the report suggests, Games Workshop has finally admitted and accepted Amazon's terms after a year of negotiations. These creative guidelines are finalized and set in stone. Whatever they agreed on cannot be undone now. This deal also exclusively allows Amazon to profit off of any associated merchandise that is created in partnership with the future films or TV shows as well. Which could be a good thing, but it also means any future Space Marine content made that has any connection to Amazon's show, they now get a hefty cut in profit from when it comes to Games Workshop's acceptance of this very deal. As these analysts said, this update was largely expected, but it is the important final step in bringing Warhammer to a global audience.
Oh no.
Looks okay so far.
I don't like that. I don't want Warhammer to be for a global audience. They're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it. We want to make this for everybody. We're gonna make it inclusive and diverse so everybody can enjoy it. That's what's happening. It's not good. They've already started with the show, trying to change it and put women in it.
I guess right. Well, it gets more concerning as the article states here. Amazon also has the option to license equivalent rights in the Warhammer Fantasy universe following the release of an initial Warhammer 40,000 film or television show. This means, effectively, that Amazon now has a say in what happens within the Warhammer universe at large across the board. This is not good, guys. I understand people are happy that we're getting Warhammer shows and whatnot, but I'm finding myself at a loss here to outweigh the negatives from the cons. The reason why is because Amazon is a very progressive company, like pretty much every other corporation, let's be real. These companies have in the past, when doing these sorts of deals, taken IP that was considered sacred.
They are gonna mess it up. They're gonna think that they're smarter and better than the original creators, and they're gonna break it and they're gonna ruin the IP. And then it's gonna be confusing and it's not gonna be as tangible because you can kind of jump in and all of the lore is pretty much consistent. There's some inconsistencies because it's such a big universe, but pretty much it stays consistent. We are about to lose that consistency. I think what's about to happen is it's going to break off and we're going to get the like fan version of Warhammer 40k and then the Amazon version of Warhammer 40k, and the fan version is just going to be from the beginning to this point is all that there is, and this is all the stuff that is actually true. Everything that Amazon made is not true. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happened to Star Wars. There's a list of things out there that's like, these are the ones to avoid and pretend they don't exist.
And then injecting their current deisms into it. A great example of a similar deal of this magnitude going down is of course the Lord of the Rings with Amazon. We all know that the Rings of Power unfortunately exists. Pretty much nobody likes it either. The first season did horribly, alienated fans, and broke canon just to ensure a girl boss Galadriel was the main character, even though we all knew she never fought in any battles prior to or after this show's events. She was simply made into a badass warrior and presented as the hero because Amazon and the progressive producers over there were not interested in giving fans what they really want, but instead using something with a pre-established franchise to push their moronic agenda through. This is why stupid stuff happens like Sauron.
And everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It was a fantastic show. Won many awards. People are going to remember it through the ages of being great. They did an amazing service by changing the story of Tolkien's original perfect story. They made it even more perfect.
Apparently having a thing with Galadriel, even though this has never happened in the books. But you need that sexy tension to keep the female watchers watching, apparently, even though that's downplaying what female Lord of the Rings fans actually really want. Even though Amazon tried to spin the story that Rings of Power Season 2 was doing better, it still wasn't meeting Amazon's nor fans' expectations. Because they bastardized the source material to fit a modern agenda. The only reason they cared about Lord of the Rings was because people knew what it was already. You really didn't have to do much to get people invested because the groundwork was done for you by better writers and storytellers already. And even with those amazing prospects and spring...
This is supposed to be the most expensive show ever created, and it looks like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets when he was riding around on the broom, and that's bad. That's real bad.
Springboards to leap off.
That looks like cartoon.
Amazon managed instead to not once, but twice screw up their Rings offerings and fail fans. So circling this back to Warhammer, there's a reason why I'm explaining this to you, because all of this is simply deja vu all over again. What Games Workshop has agreed to here with Amazon is almost identical to what happened with Lord of the Rings. Games Workshop was so desperate to get their
Dogs were freaking out for nothing. Thought somebody was pulling up.
franchise in front of more eyes for profit, they effectively are willing to make a deal with the devil if it means more people know what Warhammer even is. This is scary, because seeing what Amazon did with Rings, this doesn't fill me with any confidence that they could do this as well. Of course, the one unique outlier here is the secret level episode of Warhammer, which, in case you didn't know, that episode was a direct continuation after the events of Space Marine 2, and it even has Captain Titus in it. It was dope, it felt like Warhammer, and it looked amazing. Now, if that's how this all goes down, consider me a happy guy. I got no...
It'll at least be how it goes down at first, but eventually it's not going to be like that anymore. They will change it, especially once it starts slipping. Then they'll be like, uh-oh, we got to change it because it's not working. People don't like Warhammer anymore. We're going to have to change Warhammer into something that it's not so we can make more money. And then it's going to fail even more. And they're going to be like, people don't like Warhammer anymore. Shut it down. No more Warhammer.
Complaints, because that episode was just badass from start to finish. The tone was right, it took itself seriously, and there was no stupid nonsense in it. And it even had diversity. Wow, imagine that. It's almost as if diversity just happens naturally when you don't make it out to be something on purpose. Everyone was happy with that secret level episode, but let's be real, I don't think that's going to be the quality of the show per se the entire time. My big worry is that Amazon will Rings of Power Warhammer into an early grave. Let's also not forget that within the last year of these discussions going on, that some weird stuff has happened in the meantime. For example, Games Workshop...
If they Rings of Power it, that's not even going to be as bad as if they go the Paramount route and Halo it. I don't want it to be Haloed. Please don't Halo it, Amazon.
Officially made female...
Please Fallout the new Warhammer.
Adeptus Custodes canon with their show, The Tithes. In all her Giga Chad Chin glory, Games Workshop promoted and confirmed something that only a few years back would be considered sacrilegious to fans of Warhammer. It's the Ciri Witcher thing all over again. Women can't be Witchers, it's been that way for years, but now suddenly they can be Witchers. Why? Because it's progressive, you bigot. Stop being a sexist or whatever buzzwords need to be thrown your way to ensure that you allow the things these people want to come true.
I haven't played The Witcher enough to know that. I didn't know that that was a thing in the lore. And that's not good. Don't be changing the lore to fill an agenda. It's gross.
What's been going on for years now, in case you haven't noticed, is that companies have been overrun with activists. Amazon is no different, they're everywhere in this too, and all of these properties have been getting nudged little by little, inch by activists to keep moving the goalposts, hoping that you don't notice. First, you see the official Warhammer account confirm that female Adeptus Custodes exist, even though they haven't actually prior to that. Then people go, oh, don't worry, it's just a rogue intern on the Warhammer Twitter page, until it isn't. And suddenly there's a massive diamond chin breaking woman who looks like she eats people walking around and is now considered canon officially. But the texts have said for years there's no female Adeptus Custodes. How could this suddenly out of nowhere be something that happened? Even though it's never been mentioned, but they've actually always existed even though they were never mentioned before. Don't ask questions, stop being a bigot, and keep giving us your money like the good peon you are. Look, I would want nothing more than a great Warhammer series, I really would. Why in the hell would I want this to suck? To make money on YouTube? It's crazy, cause my more popular videos are almost always me praising games rather than criticizing them. Why the hell would I not want that here too? A healthy, thriving community with good content is always better for business than a destroyed one anyways. I don't want Warhammer's live action shows to suck the same way I don't want Witcher 4 to suck. The same way that I love Dragon Age, but then Veil...
Not just the live action shows, it's like they have other say on like the lore and stuff being changed. And that's what's really bad about the whole franchise.
Guard happened, and I felt like I got my teeth kicked in by people who don't care or know what Dragon Age even is when they made that game. Like always, these sorts of things are destroyed, manipulated, and warped not because these people care, but it's because they saw something made by people better than they'll ever be when it comes to creating something, and instead of making their own thing, they just hijack what is already there and use it to push their stupid commie beliefs. Of course, we are probably at least 2 to 3 years away before we see anything actually materialize out of this deal. I understand that. However, let's not be stupid and ignore the objective reality that in the meantime, Amazon now pretty much has the power within Games Workshop beyond any of this. There's no doubt in my mind that between now and whenever we get our first actual real look at whatever it is,
They're going to use it as a marketing campaign. They're going to do a bunch of things to piss everybody off, release their thing, everybody's going to hate watch it, and then they're going to kill Warhammer.
is that they're making, there's going to be subtle changes to the lore of the series that feels out of place to fans that will be popping up. My most obvious concern, and this will likely happen if I'm being honest, is that Amazon has and will push Games Workshop to forcibly inject female Space Marines into the franchise no matter what.
That's the least of my worries. That is like at the bottom. I don't want that to happen because that's ridiculous. And if that does happen, I'm probably going to steer clear of Warhammer from now on. But they're going to do much, much worse things than that. They'll start putting trans characters in it. They'll put like a whole like trans army in there.
There's no doubt in my mind, dude, that this is going to exist and happen at some point. I joked for years that it's only a matter of time before CDPR makes Ciri a Witcher despite being a woman, and lo and behold, it happened anyway. I told you guys they'll be removing male heroes like crazy for female ones for years, and I keep, unfortunately, end up being right about this as well too. And now we're left with the Space Marines, the wildly popular best-selling product out of Games Workshop. There is no way in the holiest of hells that Amazon did not make this a demand of Games Workshop. There just isn't. I am beyond convinced that at some point in some book, animated short, hell, probably the Ties show that they got going on already, somewhere, some way, somehow, they're going to have a Marine take their helmet off, and it's going to be the ugliest, most decrepit depiction of a woman that you've ever seen. Bonus points if it has a septum piercing, probably a bald head, It'll, unironically, be the intergalactic main character chick, but in Space Marine armor. And you can bet your sweet butt cheeks at some point they'll add transgender Space Marines too, because what even is gender these days anyway? If men and women are exactly the same in every single way and pronouns and genders can be changed out and switched like they're Pokemon in your roster, surely they can do trans Space Marines, right? Hell, give them the trans flag pins on their armor too, and suddenly everyone in the Adeptus...
That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna start, like, they're gonna release a game where you're gonna buy Warhammer skins and you're gonna be able to make a gay Warhammer character. You're gonna be able to put the flag on it, have a whole rainbow outfit, a pink armor.
Mechanicus will be women all of a sudden as well. The little baby freak things that fly around and help the Space Marines will suddenly be incredibly diverse too. But don't worry, every bad guy will still be a white man, of course, like always. Maybe a white woman once in a while just to spruce things up, and they'll throw in a diverse person of color every now and then as a villain. You know, just to keep you on your toes, only to reveal that in the end they were being manipulated and they're actually just misunderstood. And then the actual villain is some white guy who's pathetic like they always do. My god, guys, I know I'm being cynical here. I mean, what do you expect? It's me. For God's sakes, this channel's description says it right there that I'm cynical too, so what do you expect? But the fact that I've been proven way too many times to unfortunately be right when I so desperately want to be wrong, it does not fill me with confidence. Well, at least Henry Cavill is happy about it. He posted about this via Instagram where he said, "To celebrate some Warhammer news, I decided to make a pilgrimage to the very first place I bought Warhammer models over 30 years ago, the little shop on my home island of Jersey. My incredible team and I, alongside the brilliant minds of Games Workshop, have been working away in concept rooms breaking down approaches to the enormity and magnificence of the Warhammer world. Together, we've been sifting through the plethora of incredible characters and poring over old texts and tomes. Our combined efforts have led us to a fantastic place to start our universe, which has been agreed upon by those up high at both Amazon and Games Workshop.
They're gonna force him out. He can't stay forever. He's got too many good ideas. That doesn't fit the agenda.
Starting place shall for now remain a secret. Watch this space, though more to come in time. So, place your bets, gentlemen and ladies. Where are we going to be starting this universe in live action proper? Some have been theorizing that it's going to be the Horus Heresy because it's obviously a big event where the Emperor gets attacked and wounded greatly by his son pretty much. It's complicated. If you don't know, the Primarchs are like the sons of the Emperor pretty much, and then there's Space Marine chapters that spring off the DNA of each of these Primarchs. So Horus is one of those Primarchs. Think of them like demigods, if you will, and the Emperor is like the god of man pretty much. I mean, it's obvious that they will eventually do the Horus Heresy. There's no way in hell they don't do that because it's so significant to the overall universe of that franchise, but I don't think they'll start there, because the Horus Heresy, to me anyway, feels more like where you would end a series, or a season at least. Like you would end the season with the Emperor gravely wounded, Horus defeated, and then the fallout from that expands and then creates...
No, they'll put it in the middle of the season, and it'll be like half an episode, and it'll be going on while characters are talking.
New stories. Starting there could work, yes, but it would be passing too much other things in my opinion. As for who Henry plays, I mean, a lot of people want him to play the Emperor himself, which I mean, it would be fitting considering his importance to this whole project, yeah. But I mean, after the Horus Heresy, Henry Cavill as the Emperor, he really wouldn't have much to do, because he's basically just going to be stuck on a throne, literally rotting as thousands of Psykers get sacrificed to him daily to keep him alive. If you ask me, it's kind of a waste of his star power and acting skills. Otherwise, he could also play Horus himself, but I'm not okay with that personally either. But I do got two that I would pick for him. Well, actually three. First would be Guilliman, one of the Primarchs. He's considered to be very powerful and stalwart against the forces of chaos, and of course he has his own powerful chapters of Space Marines below him, so that would be fitting of Henry Cavill. My second choice would be Titus from Space Marine, the games, but to be...
I'm pretty sure he already said that he's not going to play Titus. That he does not want to play Titus because Titus is like already a well-established character. He wants to play somebody that he could prop up.
Real with you, I actually fully expect them to cast the voice actor of Titus to play him in live action. Sure, he doesn't look as much like the character, but he obviously sounds exactly like him. And Clive Standen is no stranger to acting in war epics and fighting in big battles. The dude played Rollo in Vikings after all. So I think
Oh,
him
okay.
playing Titus just makes complete sense to me. I really don't see them casting anyone else, but for whatever reason, if Clive Standen can't do it, then yeah, Henry works here very well too. I think the most popular pick for a lot of fans is that Henry plays Grigor Eisenhorn because it's just a perfect mix of what Henry Cavill has done before, and it works to his strengths. TLDR, Eisenhorn is an Inquisitor who's trained at a young age. He's basically like Warhammer's Sherlock Holmes to make it simpler to understand. He hunts down mass murderers and stuff, which then combines what Henry is perfectly known for already. I mean, the dude played Sherlock Holmes before on Netflix, he's been in action movies too, not to mention The Witcher as well. So just take all of that, put it in a bowl, and voila, you got Eisenhorn, Henry Cavill. For me, it works. But like I said, if he doesn't play him, Gilliman or Titus works fine for me too. The Emperor, yeah, but again, his current fate wouldn't really have Henry Cavill that involved, so maybe not. But if you ask me, make Danny DeVito the Emperor. I don't care if he's like 4 feet tall. I love Danny DeVito. He would look great in that golden armor on that throne. But that's who I think Henry should play. Of course, let me know what you think about who you should play or who you should not play in the comments. As for the era, I say pre-Horus Heresy. It allows you to build up the universe at the stage for the tragic downfall of the Emperor, and create a setting where humanity enters this really dark and dire age of strife. Then once the Primarchs were all set and all of that, Horus does his thing, stuff gets even more grim dark, then you go post-Heresy. The universe is yours for the taking pretty much, and then you can go hog wild. But to be honest, I think Games Workshop and Amazon will just combine various things from various eras if like certain characters didn't exist prior to this event and whatnot, just to make it all cooler and streamlined. I don't know, man, it's a lot. It's going to be a mammoth undertaking. They're going to need more money than anything in their past to make this a reality. I mean, one suit of armor for one actor is probably going to cost more than somebody's house. Also, how are they going to do the height difference thing too? Are they going to have the actors in stilts within the costumes? Or will they do the Lord of the Rings thing where they made the hobbits look smaller than those of the humans? So many questions.
It's gonna be CG, 100%. They're just gonna CG in either the armor, or they're gonna CG the people in the armor into the scenes, or they're gonna CG everything around the people in the armor. That's how I see this going down. Probably like Lord of the Rings, but on a bigger scale.
Questions, but we'll know in due time. And I think not nearly enough people are realizing how absolutely knucking futz it is that it's been confirmed that Amazon quite literally owns the rights to Games Workshop's universe now. There's genuinely nothing stopping them from turning the entire universe and franchise gay and non-binary if they really wanted to. And mark my words, you're going to see female Space Marines in it. There's no way that it doesn't happen. It's not a matter of if, but when at this point. If CDPR is willing to...
You're gonna have gay black Space Marines. You're gonna have like diverse trolls. Yeah, orcs are gonna be diverse now. You're gonna have like obviously Asian and obviously black and obviously white and obviously trans orcs. And we don't need that. They just need the orcs look like orcs and they can just look like orcs.
Make Ciri a Witcher, there's no way this doesn't happen as well. But let's not forget, guys, and this is why I'm worried, alright? Because the other time someone took Lord of the Rings outside of Amazon is that new War of the Rohirrim film that is currently bombing, by the way. It wasn't made by Amazon per se, although they are selling the film through Prime Video already, but the movie was made in partnership with Warner Bros. And it kind of shows you what happens when the original creators, or those that were entrusted to carry the torch, are not involved with the project. Because this animated Rings movie stars Hera Hammerhand, a female character that genuinely, I'm not kidding you, has nothing to do with the plot of the book whatsoever.
This looks barely better than the 90s Zelda anime. It reminds me a lot of it. Or was that 80s? That had to have been 90s.
She is literally just some random noble girl that is mentioned like once or twice in the book, and then the plot moves forward about the men in the story fighting the war. Because despite what these woke freaks tell you, pretty much all wars were fought by men, even in Lord of the Rings. Yet in this movie, Hera is the hero, she's an amazing fighter of course, and horseback rider despite never doing any of these things. It's just like Galadriel Rings of Power, and this is what I mean, guys. The War of Rohirrim film is getting critically panned and cooked by critics and fans alike already. Yet for all intents and purposes, what it represents is 100% what these modern day studios want to push these days when it comes to these legacy projects. Force the men to take a back seat, put the women forward, make them amazing, make them lesbian if possible too if you can, and voila, you got a modern slap of a product ready for nobody to watch and only to burn money. Apparently, this movie was fast-tracked simply so the rights to the Lord of the Rings wouldn't be lost, which is funny, but it's true. But the fact this War of the Rohirrim movie has its opening scene show that Hera Hammerhand is denying marriage proposals, stating that she will marry no man? Yeah, she's a girl boss and a lesbian too on top of everything else, I guess. And this is my worry for Warhammer, considering the same companies are all tied up with Rings of Power, this Rings animated movie, and Warhammer as well. Things could so easily go bad, it's not even funny, dude. So if you end up seeing two female Space Marines scissoring each other, don't say that I didn't warn you. Also, apparently in that Rohirrim film, Hera overpowers every man that she fights and kills them, and the women win the day. Because feminism is amazing, guys. Remember to eat your bugs, live in your pod, and shave your head like the chick in Naughty Dog's Intergalactic, so nobody can properly tell what gender you even are. Because in space, nobody can know your gender, or whatever the hell the Aliens film poster said. Now let's move on to this other story from Fandom Pulse report. IGN parent company Ziff Davis saw organic revenue decline by 10% since 2021, now buying out and laying off staff. So the entirety of the game's journalism populace is getting reduced, which is obviously not good for games journalists, but this sort of
Didn't see that coming at all. Didn't see that coming at all. Oh boy, oh boy.
thing happens when you no longer speak for players. Here's what the internal company email from Ziff Davis said, which was shared by someone who works in the industry, I assume, whose name is Max Tani. Over the past 3 years, our industry has faced significant challenges. Despite navigating these headwinds effectively, our overall organic revenues have declined by 10% since 2021. Through strategic acquisitions, we have offset some of these declines and positioned ourselves for future growth. However, we also need to adjust our cost base to ensure long-term success. Given that the majority of our costs reside in our payroll, we are faced with a difficult decision to reduce headcount. We're eager to avoid the kind of across-the-board reduction in force that has become common in our industry. To that end, we are offering a voluntary buyout program to employees who may be ready to move on, explore new opportunities, or just take a break. This program provides a payment equal to 4 to 6 months of your base salary based on tenure, plus for our USA employees, continued medical benefits under COBRA. People like Kat Bailey, who worked at IGN, announced they're leaving the company as well as part of this reduce in workforce too. Even Christopher Dring, who was leading the website GameIndustry.biz, is leaving that site, who said, "A small piece of news, I'm leaving GameIndustry.biz at the end of the month. It's been quite the 8-year journey. I love the industry, I love business media, and I'll be back in 2025, although what that will look like is to be worked out." There's a lot of these similar posts, but I think you get the idea, of course.
I love it. I love to see it. I love all these gaming journalists weirdos are losing their jobs left and right because they're all liars. How do you give Dragon Age Veilguard a 9 out of 10? How do you do that? Even a 7 out of 10. Like you're missing it so much. You don't even know what gamers like. They don't even care. They want to give all of these games their agenda points, their gay points, their rainbow points, pride points.
The game industry is, for all intents and purposes, imploding pretty much. There's no other way of putting it. Of course, they will end up blaming the viewers or players for not supporting them, but it's the fault of these ideologies in the end, like always. The simple truth is that today, 99% of the games industry just doesn't speak for the players. They just don't. Seeing IGN lay off staff after they made hit pieces attacking games like Black Myth Wukong, where they said the game developers were sexist with zero credible evidence, then got literally the entire industry to reference that IGN article about this, is kind of what I mean. The point is that they lost consumer trust, and it was not the fault of YouTubers or the viewers. It falls entirely on the shoulders of the people who okayed and pushed to write these articles and push these people in front of players as representatives of the industry. Like I said in my previous video, these people do not and will never speak for me ever again, because when I entrusted this industry and the flow of information into the hands of the very same people who want me excommunicated and dead for simply thinking differently, I can't say that I'm exactly sad to see these people go. Because the reality is, if my
This is literally the same thing that game journalists and game companies like this used to do back in the 80s and 90s, where they would pay people to give them better reviews. Now, instead of paying people, they're putting all this agenda and stuff in there so they can get better reviews. And you know what? I think, aren't they, anybody that has the DEI stuff, the DEI initiatives in their companies, don't they get a kickback from that? Don't they get incentives from that? If you have any information on that, drop it in the comments. I need to know more about it, because I remember reading articles and hearing about it and hearing people talking about it, but I just don't remember.
YouTube channel just suddenly imploded or I died, these types would be celebrating my death rather than mourning it simply because I thought differently than they did. I'm done playing nice. This industry needs to change. It just simply does. And I'm tired of trying to pretend that I'm somehow going to be nice to these sorts of people when they have never been that to me. They say they just want to talk about games, but they keep advocating for all the usual things that people loathe in games. They made hit piece after hit piece attacking games that people love, tearing down games people wanted more of, and scolding players for supporting things like Gamergate 2. But here's the kicker. The existence of this behemoth that is Gamergate would never have existed if these people simply done what they should have done in the first place. But now with their hands no longer on the wheel, they're flying to the wayside, and it's their faults alone. Remember that a Sweet Baby employee started Gamergate 2. You can blame all of this on Chris Kindred, not Cabrutus Rambo, not me, nobody. We didn't start this. We tried to be civil with you games journalists and the companies too. And then you spat on us and told us that we were nothing and that we were all better off dead. So now, there's only one real cure, which is to burn it all down and let it be reborn in the ashes of what once was. And I think more than ever, people are realizing quickly that unless you give people what they want, they don't have to support you. Whether it's Henry Cavill's Warhammer universe, if they screw it up, I will burn it down. I don't care. I don't owe any corporation anything. You either give the respected paying customers what they want, or you just face the consequences. Stop thinking you're better than the viewer, stop believing you are above the paying customer, because without those watching and supporting you, your opinions and actions mean and will do nothing. Never talk down to your audience, never attack your fans, and always respect those who put their faith in you. Thank you for watching, subscribe, have a wonderful day, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Literally, I couldn't have said it better. He's a better speaker than I. But just make good games, man. It's not hard to leave all this crap out of your games. Your games would be good and would sell extremely well and have better narratives and stories if you get all this DEI inclusive crap out of there. We don't need it. Just make normal games and it'll be fine, and they will sell well, and you will be successful, and you will be remembered forever, because people don't remember these DEI woke games, except for the really, really bad ones. What they're remembering is that all of them as a whole are bad, and the gaming industry is in a bad place. Well, the AAA gaming industry is in a bad place. And that's where I'm going to end today's stream. You can donate to me. I've got that super thanks where it lets you basically leave a comment. I've got PayPal down in the description. And you have a good night. I will be back in 2 hours to play some more Resident Evil.